They claim to respect the law until it's a president they don't like. Today, Senator Kennedy just ripped the mask off the hypocrisy in our courts, and you need to hear every second of it.
An extremely narrow band of cases, I think it would be considered, yes.
Okay. Do any of you think that nationwide or universal injunctions are not being abused?
I'm not sure what if I may, Senator, I'm not sure what the time horizon of the question is. I don't think that there could be good faith disagreements about the correctness of some of them, but I have not seen in the last 4 months abuse. No.
I've read your stuff, and I've read your writings. I don't want to get bogged down with this, but I have little respect for your opinion because I've read your stuff. When someone is in the White House that you agree with, and someone gets a universal injunction against him, you don't like universal injunctions. You called them judges acting like they're politicians in robes and judges looking like crass political actors. But now that President Trump's in the White House, who you dislike, you think that universal injunctions taste like pumpkin pie. So I have to discount what you say, because I think you act on your political beliefs. And I worry that that's what you're teaching your kids. So I'll leave you out of that. Do you think nationwide injunctions are being abused?
Certainly, Senator. I think that is.
They're being abused by both sides, aren't they?
Yes, Senator.
Both Republicans and Democrats are forum shopping, aren't they?
Certainly.
Professor, do you disagree with that?
I think both sides are abusing them. I agree.
Okay. Both sides.
Yeah.
There are no clean hands here. Now, your suggestion is that when a federal judge issues a nationwide injunction, there should be an automatic stay and an expedited right of appeal. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Do you disagree with that?
I haven't given enough thought to have a position on it, Senator.
I suspect, Professor, your answer will be it depends on who's president.
No, Senator.
Let me ask you about this. What if we had a rule? I was reading an article the other day. I'm not suggesting it. I just want your opinions. That said, if a president, any president, issues an executive order, let's say, that clearly violates settled Supreme Court precedent, that a federal judge can't issue a nationwide injunction. For example, if a federal a president issued an order that said no one in America has right to counsel any longer, including but not limited to, in a felony case, having the government pay for your lawyer if you can't afford it. That clearly violates settled Gideon v. Wainwright. In that case, a judge has no authority or does have authority to issue a nationwide injunction. But in a case where the law is unclear, a judge should refrain from that. Now, obviously, we'd have to trust our judges, but we're supposed to be able to trust them anyway. What do you think about that?
I don't agree with that, Senator, because I think universal injunctions transgress the limitations under Article 3, even if the underlying merits are clear.
I happen to agree with you. I don't think there's any basis under Article 3, under Supreme Court precedent, under the English common law for nationwide injunctions. I think politicians have helped judges, and many judges are politicians, to just make it up. And many of them are like Professor Shaw here. If they like the president, they're against nationwide injunctions. If they don't like the president, they're for him. Professor, let me ask you this while I have you. On April 22nd, 2024, you said there are some members of the Supreme Court that are evil. Which justices were you talking about?
I'll take it your word, Senator. I don't recall using that word, but
All right, here's what you said. You were talking about the majority opinion in Muldrow v. City of St. Louis. You said, quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who were you talking about?
sir, I'm very skeptical. If it's a transcription, it was probably a transcription error. I do not think I said.
No, you said it. Why don't you own up to it? Which you call some of the members of the Supreme Court evil. Now, which ones do you think are evil?
I would have to refresh my recollection. I've been very critical
You're
of some members of the
that
Supreme
you made
Court.
that statement, aren't you?
I'm
You're an
telling
officer
Senator, it
of the
doesn't sound
court.
like something that
You know
I
what
would
I'm
say.
embarrassed at? That you're teaching our kids.
Welcome back to Jace Manhwa. Before we get started, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss when we break down the truth behind the headlines. I just watched this Senate exchange, and I have to tell you, it perfectly captures what's wrong with the judicial and academic elite in America right now. Senator Kennedy laid it out plain. Too many so-called legal scholars and judges are letting politics dictate their positions. When a president they like is in power, they cry about nationwide injunctions being political. But when it's a president they dislike, especially President Trump, suddenly, those injunctions are as sweet as pumpkin pie. That's not principle. That's hypocrisy. What's worse is that both parties have been guilty of abusing nationwide injunctions, and everyone on the panel admitted it. This isn't about one side being the villain, it's about the entire system being exploited for political advantage. The founders never intended for judges to be mini-kings issuing blanket orders for the entire nation. There's no clear basis for these injunctions in Article 3 of the Constitution, no real precedent in the Supreme Court, and no grounding in English common law. This is judicial overreach, plain and simple. Senator Kennedy's point about having an automatic stay and a fast-track appeal process for these injunctions makes total sense. It would prevent rogue judges from freezing national policy for months or years while higher courts deliberate. That's just common sense, and it keeps power in check. Then there's the most telling part, Kennedy calling out a professor for calling some Supreme Court justices evil. Instead of owning up to it, the professor danced around the quote, blaming transcription errors. But Kennedy read it back word for word. If you're on record calling members of the highest court in the land evil, and you're lecturing future lawyers, that says a lot about the kind of bias you're pushing in the classroom. This is why so many Americans have lost faith in our legal system. Too many people in these positions of power are more concerned with their own political team winning than with following the Constitution. The law should be applied equally, whether you love or hate the president in office. That's the only way to keep our republic strong. If we allow activist judges and partisan professors to keep shaping the law based on who's in power, the rule of law collapses. Senator Kennedy is right. This kind of behavior is part of the problem, not the solution. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to Jace Manhwa, and share it with someone who needs to hear this truth. The more we expose hypocrisy, the harder it is for them to get away with it.